ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वम् यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तं हदेवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशम् मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या सम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। वेदान्तार्थविभासकाय गुरवे शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादी नगेन्द्रसङ्घपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधाम् बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोऽस्तु सततम् पूर्णाय बोधात्मने। Let us recite the first verse. Om Vedo Nityamadhiyatam Taduditam Karmasvanushtiyatam Tene Shasya Vidhiyatam Apachitihi Kamye Matistyachyatam Papaugah Paribhuyatam Bhavasukhe Dosho Nusandhiyatam Atmecha Vyavasiyatam Nijagrahat Purnam Vinirgamyatam. So of these first 8 instructions of the first stanza, now we have seen Taduditam karmasvanushthiyatam tena ishasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. Apachiti, how with the karmas, now that you have understood as to be done. So kartavyata buddhi is there. So this is what I should do is understood. Then the person does it along with all that is required to be done in order to perform those karmas. It is not somehow it is done. It is not even, acquiring the various, procuring the various items or procuring the various factors which now are ingredients to the action also has to be done properly. So the person does the karma. Then it is said that we all know one rule, and that is that action has to have a purpose. Most of us associate purpose with desire. There is a little difference over here. The purpose and desire, we are going to say, they have a demarcating line. Because Vachaspati Mishra, one of the great teachers in our tradition, he was a Grihastha though. Vachaspati Mishra says that a person will not engage, even a dull-witted person will not engage in any action without a purpose. Prayojanam mantisya na mandopi pravartate. So Manda Purusha is there. Manda means a dull-witted person. Even a dull-witted person will not engage in any action. He will also not initiate any action without a purpose. So purpose is a prerequisite, but we understand for us, we have seen that desire is the purpose. I am doing this action because I have a certain desire and that should be fulfilled. And when it comes to the Vedic understanding of the action, now there is a little difference. There is a purpose, but not necessarily that purpose is desire fulfillment. We are going to say, when we say desires, the desires categorically will fall under these three headings: Putreshana, Vitteshana, and Lokeshana. Eshana is desire. Various desires that we have, all of them can be very well made to sit under any of these three. Putreshana means desire for progeny. Okay, desire for progeny. Putreshana. Then desire for with the wealth. Vitteshana. And whatever wealth means, anything that a person is going to value. It can range from your job to acquiring diamonds and gold and silver and bonds and investments and uh, properties, all those things. In fact, everything that you are going to value will be under Vitteshana. Now, and the third one is Lokeshana. Ashana is desire, Lok is now, let us say, the world. The desire with regard to the world, where the object is the world. All these things is also world only, but here it becomes very specific. And what is it? That it can be also now twofold: desire for the objects of this world and desire for the next world when we depart from here, Swarga, etc. Huh? So that will become, that is also Lokeshana. In this world, we desire admiration from people, popularity amongst people, that people should call me good. Huh? Whether I'm good or not, people should recognize me, admire me, call me good. Even this is also with Lokeshana. Okay, this is also look for which you are ready to spend money. I'm going to do this. I will help you. So this fellow now gives it. Why? Because then I want you to call me good. I'm good. There may be goodness in that person. It is not necessarily that it is hypocrisy, but there is that he calls me good. I say I'm good. I'm a good person. Now, even wanting to have that kind of an endorsement from the people of this world is also Lokeshana. Okay. Now, what happens is these are three desires: Putreshana, Vitteshana, and Lokeshana. Mostly, we see these are the desires motivated by which we perform actions. Okay. Now, when it comes to performing nitya naimittika karmas, that does not have. Is it meant so that you can have what? Putra? Is it meant so that you can have wealth? Now, if somebody is going to ask, why should I do Sandhya Vandanam, Gayatri, etc.? How will I get wealth from that? It is not meant, it is simply to be done. But some purpose has to be there. So the Veda says that even these Nityanaimittika karmas, their phalam is also Svarga. Just, but they are obligatory, they must be performed. So now we see that actions have a purpose, and that purpose can be either desire fulfillment or simply following the instruction of the Vedas. And therefore, over here in this particular case alone, we are able to make the distinction between purpose and desire. Generally, we all understand that our purpose is desire. Because I have a desire, I'm doing this. Because I want to do it, I'm doing it. Over here, the question is, do you have a desire? Do you want to do it? No. Why are you doing it? Because it has been told, instructed by the Veda. Simply that much. And so we have Nitya Naimittika karmas, Kamya karmas, and the Prayashchitta karma. So these are the karmas which a person, every person must do. Giving up of all the karmas will be possible only when one takes to sannyasa. That's a different thing. Let us see this now. So presently, we all understand the reason for kamya karmas. Huh? Now, these kamya karmas are also because there is a desire in me for putra, vitta, or loka. I am doing those particular actions. I am doing those particular actions because I have a desire. Then, then we are going to even say that this the performing those kamya karmas also is in a prescribed way. Prescribed way in the sense that method by which the desire does not become a burden to you, or our own desire also does not become a misery manufacturing machinery for the world. Thus, it is quite possible to fulfill the desires without making it any liability. It is possible to the person as well as to the world in both the cases. Otherwise, the desires will run amok without any maryada, nothing to control it. And you know what? When our desires, when one is not able to control his desires, then we require systems from outside to control us. If something belongs to someone, why should I pick it up? It is his. No, but then I want it. So now I go and pick it up. This immediately becomes a theft. Once it becomes a theft, now in order to control it, we will have rules of the land, laws and rules. will be there. But a person who now has his inner conscience, for him, no other system from outside is required to control him. And whenever there is any force from external force applied to control, the person feels loss of freedom. But when it is your freedom, that I do not want it. Now I have exercised my freedom, and in spite of me exercising my freedom, I have nothing else from outside that forces me to control. Now look at that. The freedom of such a person is even more than just a person who thinks that I should be able to do whatever I desire. In fact, this person does not understand that he is the victim of his own desires. He thinks that he is victimized, he is being controlled, his freedom is being curbed by external factors. Instead of seeing this as being curbed by external factors, if we understand that if we follow the dharma, so we do not require anybody else from outside. And following dharma is by exercising my own freedom. So the degree of freedom experienced by a person who then follows dharma is much greater than the degree of freedom of the people who claim that we are being curbed, etc. No, dharma. That's why this person, his own life uh, is not a liability to him. He lives happily. That's why Veda Vyasa, Bhagavan Veda Vyasa, there says in Mahabharata as well as in other Puranas that I am proclaiming with my hands raised, Urdhva, which means that, when you want to have somebody's attention, you can raise your hands. Because there's a person, this is what we have learned in school, that when you want your teacher's attention, just raise your hand. The teacher in the classroom will give you. So he says that for the whole world, I am raising both my hands and making a proclamation that everything that you want will be given by dharma. But here people are so immersed that we do not hear such a loud proclamation made by the great teacher, Bhagavan Vedavyasa. We don't hear that. That's why we ignore. And when it is ignored, now then you are subject to laws from outside laws, not only this, the laws of the land, etc., but even the laws of the karma. So now we have these karmas. So we now understand that there is the purpose and there is a desire. Not necessarily everywhere desire is the purpose behind the action. Not necessary. Because we have said that desires are of these three categories, putra, vitta, loka. Now, the desire to simply follow the instructions of the scriptures is not going to fall under putra, vitta, loka. Therefore, now what happens is that these nitya naimittika karmas, also a little further down the lane, you will see that these nitya naimittika karmas, etc., become the cause for antakarana shuddhi. Okay, all the karmas can help you clean the antakarana. Karana means the equipment. Antakarana means the inner equipment. Just as we have the external set of equipments, eyes, hands, legs, etc., and these are external. So these are equipments with which actions are performed, accomplished. Actions are accomplished. So these actions, or these are the equipments. So also we have mana, buddhi, chitta, hankara. This is the inner equipment. And that's why it is called as antakaranam. Anta means inner. Karanam is equipment, tool, instrument. So it is an inner instrument. Now, this instrument needs to be refined, tuned. Okay. So there are pollutants which are contaminating this equipment. With the intelligence, one is able to understand. With the mind, one can emote. With the chitta, the memories, the samskaras, impressions are stored. With the ahankara, the sense of individuality is always there. So now there is an onus, a person who can claim, because this is the equipment. All these are possible. Knowledge is possible. Knowledge in the sense, Vrityajnanam, okay? Knowledge is possible. Emoting is possible. Memory is possible. And even the individuality is also possible because there is an equipment. Just as if the eyes were not there, how, how the action of seeing the colors and forms will not be there. If the hands are not there, holding and releasing will not be possible. You can hold with mouth, etc. But the main equipment with which, because you are not ants, right? Ants will hold things in their those fangs, and that is their hands are those. But your hands are sitting in this particular structure. So now this is inner equipment. What happens to the inner equipment is that here, because we want knowledge which should not get distorted, we want, because that now we want to employ this faculty of knowing to know that what is highest. And by knowing this, what will happen? Vimuchyate. The person will be tato jnatva vimuchyate, will be released. Here he will be released. Vimuchyate, liberated. So liberation is possible through knowing Brahman. And in order to know Paramatma, now we require the equipment to be purified, refined, well tuned. Thus, for the highest achievement of life, now we will have to create an equipment which is also extremely refined. Shuddhantakaranam. We will require Shuddha, purified inner equipment. And so these Nitya Naimittika karmas, etc., or when the action is performed desirelessly, we will have to use that, okay? That when the action is performed desirelessly, what will it do? It will create an equipment which is purified. So the equipment is already there. Purification in that equipment will take place. Antakarana Shuddhi takes place. Now, once when the Antakarana Shuddhi is there, now that desire to know Brahman is desire to know Brahman a desire for putra, vitta, or loka. By knowing Brahman, will you get progeny, or will you get popularity, or will you get vitta? What will happen by knowing Paramatma? And because by knowing Parameshwara, moksha is accomplished. Moksha is accomplished. And no doubt that even through putra, vitta, and loka, we desire small fragments of happiness. Okay? So that's why people who have children but who do not have wealth have the sukham of having the progeny, but they have dukham of not having wealth. Some people may have wealth, but they may not have progeny. So there is a dukham. Some people may have popularity, but they may not have wealth and they may not have children. So you see, so there is dukham. So there is some sukham, but how is that sukham? Fragmented. It is fragmented in small parts, limited. If putra vitta loka was not going to give happiness, would that also be desired? Will that be desired? As long as one is able to see that putra vitta loka also gives sukham, I will desire it. But if it was not to give happiness, will it be desired? No. So now at this point, look at it. It becomes, anything becomes desirable because it is a path, a channel for happiness to come. That's why I desire it. But though it is fragmented. Now we are going to say that Sukham is one. Because of what channel it comes to you is irrelevant. Okay, we are just progressing over here in a little viveka of Ananda. That whether it comes through the channel of Putra, Vitta, or Loka, now that is immaterial, as long as we get Sukham. So this Sukham is one, and it can come through any channel. Then we are going to say that the Sukha is Yadvai Bhuma Tat Sukham is the very nature of Paramatma. Okay? And it is infinite. But then why does it become finite and comes to me in small fragments? Because the window that you have opened is small. So conditioned by Putra Vitta Loka, it appears small. This is the joy of having Putra. This is the joy of Vitta. This is the joy of Loka. Why has that joy become small? Because of conditioning. The condition is such. Then this one Purna Sukhavastu Parameshwara, how does that conditioning work and all? Technical things later. But understand this, that this Parameshwara, who is Ananta Sukharupa, Ananta Sukharupa means he is of the very nature of joy and is infinite, boundless, limitless. So this Parameshwara now is the reason why even Putra, Vitta and Loka appears Sukharupa and then is desired. Look at that. How does Putra, Vitta, Loka also become desirable objects? How do they become desirable objects? It is only because of the value of happiness associated with Putra, Vitta, Loka. This Purna happiness, this infinite joy, therefore, is the very source through which even Putra Vitta Loka becomes desirable. So, he who knows Paramatma, he who knows Brahman, he who knows this Atma, already has the very source of Sukham, because of which Putra Vittaloka becomes desirable. Now, why will he desire Putra Vittaloka? Because Sukham is already. You desire Putra Vittaloka for the sake of Sukham. And he who has known already has it. So why will he even have that? So that is gone. It is not required. So he who knows already has it, Purna. So fragments, why will he fragment it and then desire it? Who says that this is the case? That's why he gives up. So thus the karma, hey, karma is given up when it comes to finally knowing Brahman. In knowing, that's why the Sarva Karma Sannyasa takes place. Now, that equipment which which will get our equipment, inner equipment, which will get purified due to Nityanaimittika karmas and Nishkama karma. Now, he already has a purified set of instrument, and that is the reason why finally even the Nitya Naimittika karmas are also given up. That is the reason why there is Sarva Karma Sannyasa. Now, which karma is left behind? You tell. Putra Vittaloka is not required. That's why Kamya Karma is given up. A Kamya Karma is given up. Nishitta Karma is already given up. Prayashchitta Karma will be done so that this papa does not become an impediment to the knowledge. So it is also a form of a purification. So when the equipment is already purified and is able to stay put in Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam, that itself is certification of purity. Brahma Jijnasa itself, the intense Brahma Jijnasa means this very desire to know how is this Atma Brahman, is an indication of purity, that the equipment is purified. When this Brahma Jijnasa becomes very intense and a person is able to follow Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, just Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam without getting diverted into anything else, now that means no other karma is also required because the purity is also there. Nishiddha karma is given up. Prayashchitta karma is not required. Nitya Naimittika karmas are not required. Her Kamya karmas are already given up. Now, what is it? And that is the reason why Sarva Karma Sannyasa takes place. Okay, so it is a natural consequence in the process of knowing. It is not some sort of a sectarian thing. It is natural. It comes, it is not sectarian, it is not at all some kind of, what do they call it, cultish. But it is a natural consequence of maturity. Hmm. It is a natural consequence of maturity. That's why there is Sarva Karma Sannyas. Presently, what we have to understand is that Tena Ishasya Vidhiyatam Apachitihi. By doing, following the righteous course of life, actions, whether it is in fulfill what do they call? Kamya karmas and Nityanaimittika karmas are already getting done. Prayashchitta karma is getting done. Then, now, now, when the person does all this, one more thing is there. Just a little attitude of understanding that these actions are worship of Ishvara. Because as I told you yesterday, the Gurudev has said it very nicely. Gurudev says that this entire universe is the visible body of God. Is the visible body of God. So even the people that you like and don't like and everything is nothing but Parameshvara. We are not able to appreciate this as God because our minds are already conditioned by our likes and dislikes. So I like him, my friend. I will love him. And this fellow, I don't like him, my enemy. So I will despise him. This is who we are just in this conditioned by likes and dislikes. And that is the reason why we are not able to appreciate that what I like, that whatever I even dislike is nothing but Parmeshwara own. The expressions are different. Expressions are different. Why are the expressions different? They're different because different equipments. Just as electricity expressing through a tube light will bring light, or through the bulb will bring light, expressing through the fan will bring breeze, expressing through the refrigerator will bring uh, 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 refrigeration, so on and so forth. Equipments are different, but that which is expressing through these equipments is the same principle. Like that, the this whole world is Parameshwara. Now, what is our relationship with this world? That of a devotee, of bhakta. When there is Bhagavan, there is the devotion, the relationship is that of a bhakta, of bhakti. So now, Ishas, and what will the bhakta do? What will the devotee do? Will adore, will love, because his beloved is Paramatma, is Ishvara. He will now worship. And what is the form of his worship? In just performing the duties as it is required, lovingly, with the understanding that this is who I am serving Ishvara. Just as a mother cooks food in their home. Now, though she is cooking the food, but with that knowledge that I am cooking it for my family, makes the difference. Okay? That attitude makes the difference. So she will now take care that, well, my son, my husband, they will like this. He cannot eat more chili. This fellow like. So whatever she is cooking, she will keep in mind her meant for people, that she for her family. So that action is oriented by wanting to serve, wanting to adore, wanting to love the people, her uh, uh, in the family. Like that, now whatever actions that one is doing, whether it is Nitya Naimittika or even Kamya Karma, will become an action of worship. Ishasya Vidhiyatam. And then Vidhiyatam means Vidhanena Kriyatam, do it properly, and doing it properly over here, perform it well, would mean that till it becomes spontaneous. Till it becomes spontaneous. That seeing the world and knowing how that, well, this is Ishvara. Even if it is an enemy and you have to take an appropriate action, knowing well that this is how the Lord has come in my life, well, this is how I will respond, but in tandem with Dharma. Okay, look at that. What a glorious life. So now somebody raises a question and he says, sir, the understanding is that phalatyaga, it is meant for Ishvara. And meant for Ishvara, those actions are meant for Ishvara, whether it is Nityanaimittika or Prayaschitta or Kamya. It is meant for Ishvara, to please Ishvara, to propitiate Ishvara as as your adoration to the Lord. This is what you are doing. Now he says that, sir, so there is that action and the karma phala both is meant for Ishvara. So that becomes what? The Ishvarartham. So phalatyaga, it is not meant for you. So you are giving it up, giving it to whom? To Ishvara. So how can this be called as puja? Because by puja we understand that you go to the temple, or if there is a small little shrine at your home, light the lamp, offer the flowers, offer some fruit or something, and then do some japa, etc. That will be called as puja. How does this become puja? He understand. He the commentator says, evam yajnaphalabhutasya swargadehe ishwaram uddishya svatvatyaga sambhavat na pujarthatva anupapatti. It says, now that yajnaphalabhutasya, what is the phalam, the fruit of yajna? Let us say swarga. Over here, meant for Swarga. There is Swarga Kam Purusha. So he does that yajna. So Swarga is the phala. Phala means fruit. Yajna is done. But for what reason? Not for because the person wants to go to Swarga. But then for what? So that Ishvara is propitiated. So now that yajna phalam over here, Swargadehe Ishwaram Uddishya, meant for Ishvara. Because it is meant for Ishvara. Puja is also meant for whom? But you want to propitiate Ishvara, that's why puja. So now whatever is meant for Ishvara, that's meant for Ishvara, becomes puja. Puja is not just one set of actions, ringing bell and waving the lights, etc. Puja means Ishwaram Uddishya. Now, who is the to whom, for whom is it meant? Ishvara. Thus, that this very factor changes the very composition of the action. It changes the very alchemy of that action. It changes from being a kamya karma or anything to the act of worship. Swargadehe Ishwaram Uddishya Svatvatyaga Sambhava. Now it just does not remain kamya, etc. Then what does it become? Pujarthatvam. And thus now the meaning that it is that action itself is puja. There is no qualm in accepting this meaning of the action as puja. Okay? Huh? Because there was how can you say that any action can become puja? It is Ishwar, because Ishwaram Uddishya. Yashya Phalabhutasya Swargadehe Ishwaram Uddishya. The underlining word should be Ishwaram Uddishya, meant for Ishvara. Come whomsoever. If you are in business or working somewhere, whether somebody is subordinate, superordinate, understand Ishvara in this form immediately. Now, whatever is the action, you will take it appropriately in accordance with dharma. But the very it changes your attitude. The very alchemy, it does not create a stain. In fact, it washes off the stains which are already there. No new stains are also created. Furthermore, there is a question. The question is, sir, just as Nitya Naimittika karmas are told that they should be performed. Okay. So whenever it brings kartavyata buddhi in the listener. Do this. Now, when the Veda says do this, listen, this is whatever. When the Veda says do this, immediately it brings the cognition, I should do this. I should do this means it is the kartavyata buddhi. There is a buddhi, kartavyata, that I should do this. It is kartavyam, kartum yogyam, worthy of doing it by me. All right, kartavyata buddhi. Just as the nitya naimittika karmas, when you listen, it brings me kartavyata buddhi. So also with the kamya karmas also, it brings me kartavyata buddhi. So by that virtue, are these both not the same, of equal status? And if both of them are of equal status, and then you say that the kamya karmas bring bandhana. The kamya karmas bring bandhana. Bandhana means a bondage. And nitya naimittika karmas do the shuddhi of antakarana. Then, because both of them also have kartavyata buddhi, then just as kamya karmas have bandhakatva as the quality, even nitya naimittika karmas will also have bandhakatva. You understand now? The logic that the Purva Paksha is bringing the opponent, he says, why only you are saying that kamya karmas are going to bring bandhana, are going will they bring bondage? Because in kamya karma also there is kartavyata buddhi. In nitya naimittika karmas also there is kartavyata buddhi. And if the kartavyata buddhi is common between both of them, then both, just as the kamya karmas have bandhakatva, so also the nitya naimittika karmas will also have bandhakatva. That will be common. Nityanam aphalatva न बंधकत्वं काम्यानां तु फलवत्वात् बंधकत्वं युक्तमेव इति न वाच्यम. Don't say that. Okay. So now we say Nityanam akarane pratyavayah kamyakarane sanasti. Why is there no bandhakatva in nitya karmas, nitya naimitikas? Is because in not doing the nitya naimitika karmas, it will bring a defect called as pratyavaya dosha of not performing. But if you do not perform the kamya karmas, if I do not have putreshana, why will I do this putra kameshti yajna like King Dashratha does? If I don't have a desire to do it, why will I do it? Therefore, it does not doing the kamya karmas is not going to bring any effect. Not doing the nitya naimittika karmas will bring a dosha called as pratyavaya dosha. It is some sort of a path. It is called as pratyavaya dosha. Purva Mimamsakas we have to see. Yeah, pratyavaya dosha. Dosha is defect. You all know this. What kind of a defect? What defect is this? It is called as pratyavaya. But nitya, not performing kamya karmas is not at all, but not doing the obligatory duties will bring. And this is the reason why we are saying that kamya karmas have the quality of bandhakatva, creating a bondage. But nitya naimittika karmas do not have it. Do not have it by this logic. This is one thing. So tena ishasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. What is the meaning of word apachiti? Apachiti. What? Don't look at me. Apachiti means what? Chiti ka apa? तो क्या है? Puja. These people come late and then they sit somewhere in between, just nod their heads to make me feel good. Okay, then tena ishasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. Okay, now we have thus up to this point we have seen these three instructions and quite okay. Vedo nityamadhiyatam taduditam karmasmanushthiyatam tena ishasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. Now finally, not finally, the fourth instruction, we have a lot more to go. Kamye matistyachyatam. Kamye, this is the very, we are in the beginning of our on the spiritual path. And over here only it is said, Kamye matistyachyatam. Kamye means kamya karmani. Matihi tyajyatam. Give up the mind which is presently engaged only in desire fulfillment. Okay, but that give up that mind, mati, which is engaged only in desire fulfillment. And by that desire fulfillment, you understand desire means putra vitta loka. Okay. न च नित्य कर्म फलस्य ईश्वरार्पण संभवात् न तद बंधकत्वमिति वाच्यम् काम्येऽपि उक्तन्यायस्य तुल्यत्वात् तथा च काम्यमपि कर्मानुष्ठेयम् एव इति आह. Now the Purva Paksha, this Purva Paksha has got an argument. He says Well, sir, according to you, Nitya Naimittika karmas do not have bandhakatva. We are going to tell you that even Kamya karmas also will not become bandhak. How? Just make it Ishwararpan. Huh? What should you do? Just turn them into Ishwararpana. Sadashivarpanamastu, Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Because now these people are going to find some sort of an escape. Now, before that thing takes place, teacher now says, knowing well that this is the argument that will come, he already has said, Kamye Matis Chachata. Iva. तथापि तथा च काम्यमपि कर्म अनुष्ठेयमेव. Therefore, the kamya karmas also should be performed. Is actually kamya karmas will be performed if only there is a desire. Why otherwise a person will perform kamya karma? If I have a desire to go to the market, will then I go to, then only will I go to market. If I don't want to, I want to wallow in my bed, then I'm not go. तथा काम्यमपि कर्मानुष्ठेयम् एव इत्याह. सो काम्ये मतलब कर्मणि विशेषः मति कर्तव्यता बुद्धि. Give up the mind. Give up the mind which is engaged in karma, kamya karmas. Oh, I have to give up the mind. Well, give up the mind means what? Give up the mind means that only the kartavyata buddhi does not take place. I should do this is not what happens. That is all. Matistyajyata means only kartavyata buddhi does not take place. Remember this. Kartavyata buddhi iti yavat. Ayam bhavaha. Now, whatever, sir, that you have said, that even if it is kamya karma, now just make it Ishwararpana, and that kamya karma will not become bandhaka. That is what you have said. Now the teacher, the Siddhanti, gives one explanation for that. And he says, one nyaya, one logic, which is now over here. Prakshalanadipankasya durad asparshanam varam. Somebody gets his feet get smeared with muck. But this is the rainy season now. You know, there's muck everywhere. And then he steps into that muck, and then what happens? The feet, the shoes are all smeared with muck. Now, what should we do? Wash it. What to do means what? Wash it, clean it. So he now goes and cleans it. Then, would it not be better not to put your foot in muck? If it is put into the mud, then comes the process of washing it. But if you have avoided that ditch and walked past it without stepping into it, there is no question of getting smeared with mud. Correct? So no question of even washing it. Do the kamya karmas, then to make it Ishwararpana and then get it clean. Better is what? Don't do it. Durad asparshanam varam. Far better. Not touching it at all is far better. Prakshalanadi pankasya. Panka means ma. mud. Prakshalanadipankasya durad asparshanam varam. What is far better? Not even touching it is way far better. Varam. Iti nyayena kamyam karma kritva tatphalasya ishwararpanapekshaya kamya karma karanasyeva yuktatva. Okay, that is there. Now we are already past that. Now there is something more that this fellow is going to bring. Who? Your let us meet him tomorrow and also see the solution that the Siddhanti gives. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnaha Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayam Sutrabhashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Muktibheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Thank you, friends.